from yours because we feel this is very important and we did not want to let this go to a committee meeting without the community being able to see it first. If there had been another option, we would have taken that. Before we get into what staff has worked on in the revised plans, I also want to be very, I oppose any proposal that disconnects downtown from Oak Cliff. So if you have heard otherwise on social media, thank you. That's wrong, because I never said that and I never will. Let's see. There is also no proposal to take down Jefferson or Houston or close them permanently. Now, there is a temporary closure during construction that's going to happen. Like many of you, I use these viaducts every single day. They are critical connections for residents commuting to jobs, schools, parks, and recreation downtown. They also help bring visitors into Oak Cliff to support our small businesses and our neighborhoods. Now, there are really 3 separate conversations that are happening regarding the viaducts. First is the Oak Farms Transportation Corridor Study. That has been underway for the past 2 years, and it included extensive community input. The consensus recommendation from the Oak Farms Corridor Study from residents, the North Central Texas Council of Governments, and the City of Dallas staff was to convert Jefferson to 2-way traffic while transforming Houston into a greenway for the streetcar, pedestrians, and cyclists. The goal was to preserve the long-term stability of the 100-year-old Houston Viaduct while also reducing dangerous speeding by creating 2-way traffic patterns on Jefferson. Under that proposal, 1 vehicle lane of traffic would have been removed, keeping 4 dedicated car lanes. The second discussion that's happening is the Convention Center redevelopment project. When the plans were revised for the Convention Center to lower the building and roughly $500 million, staff relayed that part of Jefferson Boulevard downtown would need to close. That's what a lot of people got myself included, got very concerned about. That would require viaduct traffic once it got across Jefferson to the Convention Center to be routed around the Convention Center, either behind Reunion or behind the Convention Center over closer to where City Hall is. I'm hopeful staff can present stronger long-term solutions tonight and next week that better serves all forms of users of those bridges. The third and final thing being discussed is the temporary impact during the estimated 2 to 3 years of the Convention Center construction. As you guys have all seen, and I've seen during the I-30 construction, it creates a lot of disruptions when we close our roadways, but they do have to happen at some point. So our responsibility is to identify the best possible temporary solution so Oak Cliff residents are not unfairly burdened by the changes tied to the Convention Center redevelopment during several years of construction. And I'll close and turn it over to my colleague here in a moment, but I just want to say I have seen a screenshot of what I'm hoping they're going to be able to show you tonight. I'm just going to lead off with I don't love it. I don't love any of the plans I've seen so far. I don't want to say I hate it, but I really, really dislike them. And but with that being said, I ask that you be very respectful to staff tonight. Just like you, they've given up their time to be here. And at the end of the day, if you love the plans, we want to hear it. If you hate the plans, we want to hear it. But most importantly, we need to take questions back so that we can get those answered by staff. So with that being said, I'm going to ask...
I know you got some important questions maybe that you want to ask. So let me give you my position when it comes to the Jefferson Viaduct. And I've said this on the Jason Whiteley show, and I've said this publicly in my community when I'm having my meetings. I do not support any plans that take away access from Southern Dallas, period. So I don't honestly know what rumors are out there. It's been a whole bunch of rumors out there on a whole lot of other stuff. So I don't get involved. I'm a pastor as well, so I don't go chasing after waterfalls. So when people speak the truth, that's what I go with. I don't chase every rumor. I don't go through all that other stuff. It's a waste of time when you do that. Most of us seem like are of age, and so we've done that when we was younger. And so we just try to wait until we get all the facts, and then we can make a decision, whether it's from, concerning City Hall, concerning our own lives, and et cetera. So that's where I am right now. And that's where I'm going to be when it comes to access to Southern Dallas. I would never support any plan that takes away access from Southern Dallas. I've been living in Southern Dallas my entire life. I was a school board trustee for 6 years. I pastored in this community, live in this community, and I understand the importance of making sure that we have access to go in and out when we need to, whether it's for business or pleasure or whatever we want to do. So that's my position on that. Anything else, it's just, I guess if it's a rumor, I haven't heard it concerning my particular. And I know where Councilman West stands on it because.
All right, and here, I think I heard Councilmember West talk about, this is a PowerPoint, it's not gonna Zoom, sorry about that. We probably should have thought a little bit about how the technology was gonna work this evening, but, you know, I think that so what we're looking at here is the condition during the convention center construction. I think I heard Councilmember West talk about the fact that there was going to be a segment of the roadway that was impacted during that construction phase. And, you know, we are going to have the convention center constructed over the current alignment of Jefferson. And so we're going to take down a section, which you see. Hopefully you can see it. It's the removed bridge section that's just north. All right. All right, I'll try to use my cursor to point at it also. That is the section that we're gonna be removing. And then what's gonna happen in order to get traffic into downtown Dallas, we're gonna be coming in, again, 3 lanes, off of Jefferson. You'd go to the south connector, and then you would turn, you'd make a left-hand turn and a right-hand turn. And what we would do is we would have 2-way traffic on Houston from Young to that south connector. So so that would be the change that happened during construction. The bike lanes would go through the garage and make your way down to Hotel and then around to Young. So this is the condition during construction of the convention center. The connectors, thank you for that question. So there is a parking garage, I don't know if you guys can see it, between Jefferson and Houston. And there are 2 connectors on either side. One that we refer to as the south connector, you know, the one that's furthest away from downtown, and then the north connector, which is closest to downtown. Now, this is the proposal for as we complete the convention center. So what we would do is continue to use that south connector to take traffic, 1 lane of traffic from the south connector all the way down to Young. And that provides the connectivity that we would have during the construction condition. And added to that, we're going to be adding a ramp at that south connector, taking you down to Hotel Street, through that intersection and into the mobility hub of the convention center. And so this would be 2 lanes of traffic going down the ramp, 1 lane coming up, and a separated bike lane. So that's the condition that would be as the convention center opens. I'm sorry, what the Oak Farms vision was, or is. We're bringing bicycle traffic, streetcar, and pedestrian all the way to the south connector. And then, again, at the south connector, you would be able to, if you're on a bicycle, make that turn, go down the ramp, and go around. We now have the 4-way traffic on Jefferson, 2 lanes out and 2 lanes coming in. And so these are our proposed solutions. We're here to hear your thoughts and your feedback. There's a couple of other things that I want to make sure that everybody's aware of, that both Jefferson and Houston, those viaducts require some bridge rehabilitation, and that money has already been programmed. TxDOT is currently in the process of doing condition assessments, and they plan to do that work in 2030 and 2031. And so this ramp from Jefferson down to Hotel into the convention center is an important additional structural component, because when that rehabilitation work happens, we now have an alternative route to, again, keep the connectivity that all of you have talked about, and be able to navigate through that construction period also. So with that, that sort of concludes our formal review of the concepts that we have. Again, we have a scenario during construction, we have a scenario as construction of the convention center completes, and we have this future connectivity scenario. So happy to take questions. The young lady at the back was first, so I'm gonna...
Other roadways.
You were next.
Yes, I'd like to thank you for coming and giving your Friday. I'd like to thank Councilman West, Councilman Johnson. I'd like to know, my name's John Barr. I'd like to know how, after the construction's completed, is the traffic on Jefferson going to get to Young Street?
It will.
How does it happen?
You basically go use the connector off of Jefferson and go all the way down to Young. There's a new bridge. In this scenario, we're proposing a new bridge to go from Jefferson across the railroad and connect to Houston.
Well, there's a building there.
And this would be, yeah, we have it, we know exactly where the building is, and we've identified an alignment that works, that will connect across the railroads between Jefferson and Houston.
Have you considered going under the convention center?
I don't know that we have that scenario specifically.
So you mean below grade, like?
Like Katie's, like where President Kennedy was killed, go below grade and avoid your build over. Your main concern, Ms. Fleming, was raising the convention center up to the second floor, raising the grade of the convention center. So if you're going to put it level across to WFAA parking, why don't you go below it?
Can you summarize that? Because I
Sure.
hear the first part back.
Sure, absolutely. So, Mr. Barr asked the question of whether or not we could go subgrade on the building in order to be able to connect traffic that way. And there's a lot of concerns with that, because there's utilities that are pre-existing that we're already planning around. There's Encore, there's a huge DWU line that was just put in there 3 or 4 years ago, don't quote me, I'll find the exact timing, and some others that would be obstructed if we did that. But we did look at that, and that's the reason is the utility expense to move all of that.
I would like clarification on the plan to take 3 lanes of traffic on Jefferson, have them turn left at the point that Jefferson is closed. 3 lanes have to merge into 1 lane, and then another single lane on, I realize it's a short distance of time, but that's going to be a real long. I just want to clarify that as the plan.
So while this is still in the conceptual stages, however, there is enough room to be able to transition from 3 lanes to 2 lanes to 1 lane.
Oh,
And-
I understand it's probably possible, but can you imagine 3 lanes of cars trying to merge over to the left lane, turn left, and then don't, you know, yeah, it's doable, but it might take a couple of hours. I mean, I don't know.
Well,
That's why I wanted to confirm.
Okay, so again, we're still evaluating what the final design is going to look like. But from a conceptual standpoint, it will work. And as Councilmember West mentioned, obviously this is the initial interim condition that it will be just like any other construction zone that you have to go through.
Use that Marcellus Bridge. Well, Jefferson, Marcellus, because I go Marcellus one way and Jefferson, so I catch it both ways. So I know what I'm talking about. My point is, that's a vital bridge, and it should not even be tampered with. I don't know the plans that y'all planning, but that bridge needs to stay. And we need more meetings to let the people know that what's going on, because I guarantee you, I wouldn't want to see that closed down. And that's a vital point to get from Oak Cliff to downtown. Now, if we're binding this city together, I think we need to keep that, and that's all I want to say. And so you all do use it? Okay, so we're going to fight for our bridge.
I just want to make the city aware of two things. I travel in and out of through downtown. I go from Oak Cliff to Carrollton 4 or 5 days a week. Haven't retired yet, still working. How many of the City of Dallas staff is aware that there is a running group every Thursday evening that gathers at Founders Park and runs into and out of downtown Dallas and Oak Cliff on the Jefferson Street Viaduct or Houston Street Viaduct? You're not. You don't look at the neighborhoods. You don't look at what goes on in our Oak Cliff. And right now, I'm sure DPD and city staff is not aware. Those crossovers that go across and around that old reunion parking garage that's never been used for 20 years. They're staging motorcycles and small car racing and doing donuts and all kinds of stuff in the evening on those bridges. So you better do your research. You better check your neighborhoods, because there's a lot of people that are affected by what you're trying to do to Oak Cliff. You can't fix Illinois Avenue, you can't fix our neighborhood streets, but you're going to take our access to the best city in Dallas. Think again. Don't shit on us like you have for 25 years.
So I have just update for you. So we have renovated the garage, and we'll show pictures on Tuesday. You can't hear me? Sure. Sorry about that. So we have turned the garage into a temporary construction, just holding of some of the staff who are doing the construction and demolition on site right now. We'll show pictures on the 19th of what it looks like now. We also have private security that's paid for by the construction manager, not by my department, but in their overall cost, that is controlling some of the nuisances that you talked about. So trying to remedy that. And so I did live I was just telling Mr. Barr, in Oak Cliff for 17 years, still own the house, just moved to Duncanville for a little bit. But so I understand some of the concerns that you're talking about.
Rosa, is Tuesday too early to be briefing everybody then? There's so many unanswered questions.
I want to first respond to her comment about the runners. We are maintaining the pedestrian access on Houston. There's not any change to that in any one of the scenarios that we're showing you, from today, existing condition, construction, post-construction, and the future connectivity. That is staying, that lane is staying there.
Answer my question. It sounds like there's a lot of uncertainty here, in that Tuesday is way too early for there to be a comprehensive understanding of what's being proposed. I don't think anybody in here can look at that and really understand what is being proposed. And we know you guys are working hard and as diligently as you can to make this happen. Is Tuesday too soon?
The Transportation Committee asked us to come back after our March briefing, and we are committed to sharing with them the update of the work that has been done by the team. This is an evolution from what you've seen before, and so we wanted to get the committee's understanding of where we are in the process. The ramp that we've shown today is different than what was shown before. It's important to get that information out, as well as the bridge that offers future connectivity. So certainly we respect your perspective that perhaps it's early, but we want to get these concepts out, engage in more public engagement, not just with this group, but with other groups, because we think that that's an important part of the process. And will be a part of the process going forward. And so appreciate your question.
Let me add one more. This is not a staff decision per se, because any permanent changes that would affect the operation and or alignment of any of these two bridges will follow through what we call the thoroughfare plan, since both these bridges are on the thoroughfare plan of the City of Dallas. So we have to go through the Thoroughfare Committee, the Planning Committee, and the City Council. And City Council will have to vote on it. So all what we're wanting to do, just wanted to clarify that what we're showing is to daylight and have those conversations and listen and get those feedbacks so that basically we can include and incorporate some of these things as we go through the process of the Thoroughfare Plan amendment.
And part of that I think that Gus meant to add was that the thoroughfare plan process includes a lot of community engagement where we listen and respond to the concerns. So nothing that we're showing today, other than demolition component, is anything that is a done deal. We have to work with the community. We want to work with the community. And so there's a ton of engagement that'll happen as part of that. Can I say something? So I'm representing the communities of Trinity Townhomes. I'm the past president, and also East Castle.
My name is Becca. I'm board president for the Dallas Bicycle Coalition. And thank you for mentioning the Oak Cliff Run Crew. They run on Jefferson, not on Houston, so that is one of our concerns, that the pedestrian access connecting downtown to Oak Cliff via Jefferson will be disrupted. My main goal is for a safe and accessible biking and walking option to be available between Oak Cliff and downtown, and none of the options presented do that except for having the Houston Greenway. And there are
via Hotel Street over to Young. So that's the same. I'm sorry.
On several levels. First, this presentation I consider really inadequate if your goal was to provide the audience with an understanding of what the proposal is, what the impacts are, and exactly how the changes are going to impact those of us who use the viaducts and those who depend on it for connectivity, either to go to work or downtown or go there for other reasons, but also for folks who want to come and access the small businesses here in Oak Cliff. So I really hope that you'll give us some other way, some other mechanism to really understand what your proposal is in detail, because it's a very complex problem, has very complex solutions. The presentation tonight did not really explain that well at all. The second thing really is on a higher level. You know, the convention center has great access from the east and the north and the west of Dallas. The South Dallas has very limited access because of the natural barrier of the Trinity. And I don't believe that any convention center plan should ever have been approved without first considering the impact on the access of the south to the downtown. And I really am greatly disappointed that the city has approved that without identifying this as an issue so that the community input could have been acquired.
Our presentation and this meeting was short notice. We were preparing to have a more robust presentation to the Transportation Committee. You'll see more work in that, and we'll certainly be coming back to make sure that you and others understand what we're showing you here, what we're showing just short, to try to be as concise as possible. The existing condition is 2 lanes of traffic leaving downtown, coming across, 3 lanes coming in, and I'm just talking about vehicular traffic. And the condition post-convention center will be exactly the same. You'll have 2 lanes going out and 3 lanes coming in. You'll have that same level of capacity to get into downtown. And then with this connectivity, or with the future, we have even additional lanes. So let's just try to explain it as clearly as I can.
It is yes, it is being finalized and will be presented as part of the presentation on Tuesday. The thoroughfare plan amendment and any application.
Good evening, my name is Tony Page, and I serve as the chair of the Uptown Dallas Public Realm and Capital Improvements Committee. I wanted to offer a perspective that has not received enough attention in this discussion so far, and that is how these decisions affect the broader connectivity of Dallas urban core, including Uptown. Increasingly, residents move fluidly between Uptown, Downtown, Cedars, Southern Dallas, North Oak Cliff, and Bishop Arts for work, dining, entertainment, recreation, and transit access. And the Jefferson and Houston viaducts are an important part of that connective infrastructure. From Uptown's perspective, this is not simply a question about rerouting traffic around a building footprint. It is a question about how Dallas' major urban districts connect to one another over the long term. Uptown is one of Dallas' major employment, dining, entertainment, and public realm destinations, and it should remain easily and intuitively accessible to residents from all parts of the city, including Southern Dallas and Oak Cliff. Dallas' own planning framework recognizes the streets are not merely traffic conduits, they are connective civic infrastructure.
For your time. My name is Cassie Nutter, and I'm the property manager at Lake Cliff Tower Condominiums. And I'm assuming that this whole thing is going to bring more people to, right? And on that bridge, more pedestrian traffic. We already struggle with people parking. Like, what do you have for parking? Because these people have to park somewhere. On Thursdays, when they have the runners, I have to pay an employee to stand outside to tell people they can't park there. So there's already no parking for these people. So what is your plan for the parking?
We always talked about changing it with vehicular on Jefferson, pedestrian and bicycle on Houston. But all of a sudden, there seems to be this change that is going to be impacting Oak Cliff for years to come. It's not clear to me what Oak Cliff and Southern Dallas is giving up, what we're getting by giving up our access here. That has not been explained. It's done in simply, oh, it's the convention center. What specifically with the convention center are we gaining that justifies Oak Cliff and Southern Dallas losing our direct access like it is?
Thank you for the question about Oak Farms.
And thank you for participating in our Oak Farm study, because we really did appreciate having the community input on that study. What's being developed here, helping at this point, is to be consistent to the spirit of what was in the Oak Farms, in particular for taking taking pedestrian traffic, keeping pedestrian and bicycle traffic on Houston with streetcar and putting all the vehicular traffic on Jefferson. So that plan is still with these is all consistent on the south end, and it doesn't preclude what was proposed in the Oak Farm study to happen in the future. So these are concepts dealing with how do we make that work in the very north end, where the part where Houston and Jefferson come together. Does that answer your question? No.
What are we gaining with the convention center, which apparently we can't, are we gaining by putting us out of easy access into downtown? That's not been explained here. I still don't know why we are doing this for the long term. I get why we might need to do it in the short term. I don't understand why we have to do it in the future.
Benson, I live in South Oak Cliff, bought a house there 51 years ago, and now that I retired 15 years ago, I rarely leave it. But this presentation, I was a computer applications teacher for DISD. This really needs to be done and online before this meeting so we can study it, what you're going to present at home. I mean, this is valuable. So please make it more public, and I hope somebody has recorded all the questions here because they all need to be answered again in more detail online.
For the final version of the presentation. Sorry, yeah. The final version of this presentation will be posted. It'll be presented at the Transportation and Infrastructure Committee meeting on Tuesday. So you will have access to these slides. In addition, yes, it'll be posted before the meeting on Tuesday.
9 a.m. Horseshoe, Tuesday, right?
No, it'll post over the weekend. We're still doing some work after this meeting tonight. Oh, I'm sorry. An infrastructure meeting is at 9 a.m. on Tuesday, the 19th.
Everything will be presented then.
Correct.
A future connectivity screen. And so I live in Dallas without a car, and Jefferson and Houston is very important to me because in as much as there's several interstates and roadways between
Young via Houston.
Okay, that's good to hear. Because when I look at that, maybe the advantage of just sitting here right in front of the screen. So I, like everyone else, is anxious to see the digital version of this so we can zoom in and all that. But looking at this, I think you guys deserve some credit in that by adding that additional connection, it is future thinking, because at some point in the near future, that whole Reunion Arena area is going to get redeveloped, and it's going to become a major traffic generating car traffic destination. And so I think, to give you guys some credit, there's actually a good future thinking solution here because you're creating a connection that doesn't exist today. I am impressed that I didn't know that adding a flyover between Jefferson and Houston was an option the way that you presented it. And I'll say I'm actually pretty impressed with that solution because what that does is Houston Street, you can see it on the graph here, has Union Station right there. And so because of
that orange area, is that where y'all are saying the new convention center is gonna be?
Yes, that is the footprint for the new.
Has a plan and the budget been approved for that?
So yes, this is an opportunity to dispel some of the rumors about the budget. So we are at 3.080 billion in terms of the construction costs. Our soft cost are about $162 million, all of which has been paid through our capital construction budget that I have in my department for the most part. And so, yes, that's the budget for the project to date. Now, with the connector that they're adding here, this additional bridge right here that comes off of Jefferson. Now, that has been preliminarily, back of napkin, costed out. And so that came in at about 20. We added some contingency to it. And in our recent discussions about my capital construction fund, I do have the funds to fund that, so we can consider that funded. And what will go forward, once we do all of the engagement, once transportation has been able to charrette all of this with you, because that's the level of engagement that'll happen. And I just want everybody to understand that. No one is saying, this is it, this is the only concept. It's a lot of engagement, the same that we did with the convention center. I think we did 384 meetings relative to that. And so with that, we would look at, TxDOT funding through their state infrastructure bank, et cetera, to pay for the rest once it's costed out and determined that that's the direction that we're gonna go, or if there's another direction that comes out through the charrettes. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Where are the designs for that convention center? Because that $3 billion price tag, come on.
So that $3 billion price tag, we provided that we can drop the links into the appendix of the presentation that we'll provide for this, or we can send them to the council people to send out for us as well. So again, that is not property tax. That is not money, that is all visitor money earned through hotel operating tax. $2,500 that'll be on site on peak, right? Those are jobs that make well above living wage. It also creates and feeds into the industry. If you watched council last week, we generate through tourism in the city, both in the day and the night, $6 billion into the economy during the day.
And Maxie Johnson, seeing all the pushback from the community here, having no traffic study available till the weekend, pushing this to Tuesday real quick, and having pretty much no community input, would you guys commit to pushing this to a later date at City Council with having more community meetings before actually going to City Council with this?
Well, as like any of these plans, and the discussion on Tuesday is not a final vote. It is an opportunity for more questions. I would say you guys have sent in a lot. We had a sheet that we didn't get to go through tonight, but keep sending them to my office, send them to Councilmember Johnson, and we will bring them up to staff on Tuesday. Hopefully we'll have written responses to those questions as well. I know we have a couple staff that have to leave. We started late, so I've asked them to stay later than our 1 hour. But if Rosa, like some of you guys I know have graduation stuff for your kids, need to go. But I'm gonna.
Your income, your paycheck comes every 2 weeks from tax money. I pay too much taxes. But I'm seeing that it's gonna affect my business. How you guys gonna support the restaurant business? How you guys gonna support my employees? How you guys gonna support my customers? These 2 kids who just left, they go to the restaurant, they pass the bridge every single day. I don't have kids, I want to have kids. I want to see the beautiful view of that building, of that bridge. My question is, if my business is going to be affected with this, which I'm ignoring what's going on, but the little thing I heard, you guys are not going to help me to survive. How can I get help?
To leave the bridges alone. And then someone came along and said, hey, we can save a little bit of money if we disrupt the bridges. And so it seems like it would be best to go ahead and put it back to the way that they originally planned, leaving the bridges alone. It may cost some money, but as they've said, they're making billions of dollars every year through this building, this convention center. So leave it alone. Make the cost exist. I mean, it's in a taxes anyway, so let the budget be a little higher. and put it back to the way it was.
So if I could, approved by council in 2022 were moved because there was an interaction from TxDOT that came after several conversations with us. They needed what is called laydown area that they informed us later. They needed they needed to do, is it called a flyover? They needed a flyover for Union Pacific, all of which were on Convention Center property, right? They sent us correspondence and called us and said, hey, we need you to move the building. We then hired, that's when we hired Inspire. We hired some others to look at how we can retool the building and keep the program that generates the jobs and the money that we talked about that brings revenue into the city, right? Because we're not just talking about revenue that funds the hotel. We're talking about sales tax, et cetera, that pays for police officers, et cetera. So a lot of that is generated by the people that come to this building and our other entertainment facilities. And so we moved the building. That caused us to need to, that's when you saw the different interactions with city council, all approved by city council, where we moved the building to include the back part of the Dallas Morning News building and a small portion of the parking lot by WFAA, which moved the building over. And that's what required us initially for safety reasons to not have people driving through a construction zone, right, along Jefferson. And there's safety things that Gus can explain a little more related to construction and driving through. Same reason that you see us, if you go back and look at council and look at how we left or leaving some of the building over and asked DART to no longer stop at the convention center during construction, but to stop at Union Station. All of those are safety concerns so that as we construct, as we demolish, we're not causing danger to a runner, danger to a cyclist, danger to a car. So that's some of the history. Happy to. Maine, they take acreage. They just don't take the little piece they ask for. And that's a statute and it's statutory. Yes.
Are you talking about when they decided to do the build over part to the Cedars? That presented an unforeseen problem for you?
No, it was the I-30 project and the width of it, and then the need for them to be able to lay down equipment in a certain area, and then for them, can you point to the flyover for UP? Because I can't tell from here where they're going to build that, where they're going to go over UP temporarily.
It's covered by the legend.
Yeah.
So it's on this side. Yeah. But here's the deal. Hold on. I'm sorry. Let me have a mic. I'm sorry. I have a young lady that has been holding her hand up and being very patient. And so while everyone has
the building, when did we find out that this building was going to be in the way of the Jefferson Viaduct? And was that during the Oak Farm, was that mentioned in all of the Oak Farms meeting? Was that made clear in the meetings? Why did those meetings continue without mentioning, hey guys, no, the bridges are not going to be uninterrupted? Because your timeline starts to say 2022, 2023. These meetings are still going on.
So you have to remember the convention center project started in 2018 in terms of planning, and so I'll have to defer to half a so.
For us doing the study, that information was pretty much in the middle to latter part of the study, and we're aware of that. During the Oak Farm study, our Oak Farm study. It was at the latter stages. We had published the report at the beginning of 2025 for the Oak Farm study. And that patient known at the time we were doing the Oak Farm study. And that was an evolving issue at that time. And so we, again, for the south end, and the concept was still valid for what Oak Farms had done. Does that make sense? And it was primarily for the south, on the south of the river, right, for Oak Farms?
Thank you. I know we're seeing a lot of things, and I know you still have ideas. One of the main things that Councilman West and myself wanted to do, this is not a last minute meeting, this is an urgent meeting. It's a difference between last minute and